Hello? Joe? You're abandoning your responsibilities as a husband and causing trouble for our daughter. You are a lousy husband. I will educate you.
Excuse me, Emma? I have my reasons for leaving.
I don't care. We've decided to move into a new, beautiful apartment. If you want to move in together, I'll tell you where we're going to live.
No, it's fine.
What?
My name is Joe. I'm a 35-year-old office worker. It's been 5 years since my wife Alyssa and I got married. My wife is 30 years old, 5 years younger than me. Although she is younger, she's very mature, which made me fall in love with her. We dated for a while, and then eventually got married. Our married life has been going well. However, a few months ago, our peaceful life suddenly began to change.
I got laid off.
What? My wife was suddenly laid off from her job. The reason is that the company's business condition has deteriorated due to the recession. I never thought that my wife would get laid off. This is because my wife was working for a big company. I thought we could continue to live as full-time employees without worrying about money. However, it seems that there are no absolutes in the world. I can make ends meet on my salary alone, but it is a little difficult to save money for children in the future. I started a second job and started working harder and harder. If my wife can find a new job somewhere, I think it'll be alright. However, my wife had difficulty finding a new job, and she could only get a part-time job. The salary was only $700 a month. We are just barely making ends meet. The rent is a little high here. Should we move? Let's try and save as much money as we can. To make our lives easier, we need to decrease our living expenses. Up until now, my wife was well paid, so we had a little bit of an extravagant lifestyle. We also didn't have a lot of savings. We lived in a pretty luxurious condo. But let's be realistic. We should probably live in a condo that costs thousands of dollars less than what we are paying now. However, my proposal was quickly rejected.
No, I don't want to move.
What? Why not?
If we move to a smaller, cheaper apartment, my mother will ask you why, won't she?
I didn't understand what she meant. Why don't we tell her the truth? That you were laid off and were in a difficult financial situation. When I said that, my wife's face went red and she started to yell,
Stop! Please don't tell my mom about my job. We're able to pay rent with both of our incomes, so it should be fine, right?
I was taken aback, and at the same time I was stunned. I wondered if her pride and vanity were more important than protecting our life as a couple. We can barely pay their rent, and I'm having a hard time making ends meet. I can't even save money at all. That's why I'm proposing to move out. But my wife won't budge, no matter how hard I try. I had no choice but to give up. After that, life continued to be difficult. In the midst of all this, my wife made an unbelievable statement to me.
This is all we have for dinner today. Before, we used to have more food, but you don't make much money, so...
Oh, but I think that I'm working hard. You insist on living in this condo that you're cutting back on your food expenses. And Alyssa, maybe you should think about getting a new job. When I told her this, my wife says,
What the hell? Don't make it sound like it's my fault. Watch me now. I'll go back to work for a good company and make more money than you.
She snaps like this. I think she's a pain in the ass every time, but if this sparks my wife's motivation, I convince myself that it was okay. However, my wife was originally unable to find a new job, and even if she's motivated to look for a job, there is no way that she would be able to find a new job so easily. Maybe if she studied or got certifications, it could be possible, but all of her experience has been in part-time jobs. My wife had many interviews. She was having a lot of difficulty, and even had to deal with people younger than her. She got fed up with the situation and quit job hunting in the end. I was disappointed to see that she had already given up after declaring proudly she would find a job. My wife is not the only one I have a problem with. As I was saying that, I received a call today. Even though I'm at work, the person who calls me without hesitation is my mother-in-law. Even though it's the middle of the morning, I had more than 10 missed calls. I don't work for a big company, so she doesn't like it when I don't make enough money. I called back during my lunch break. My mother-in-law was hoarse from the very first word.
Hey! You need to learn to pick up the phone right away.
I told you that I'm currently at work, didn't I?
I don't care about your joke of a job. Make my calls a priority.
Since my mother-in-law lost my father-in-law a year ago, she started contacting me a lot. I think it's because she's lonely, now that she's all alone. The content of the phone calls was always monitoring me to see if I was supporting my wife properly. She began calling me on the phone while I was at work.
So, have you had a chance to talk to Alyssa? She hasn't given me a reply yet.
I'm sorry, but I don't think we can live with you.
I didn't ask for your opinion. There's no way my daughter would say no.
Alyssa also said that it would be difficult, and our current financial situation also makes it hard.
What do you mean your financial situation? My daughter works for a big company. She gets paid a lot, so you can afford to have a good life.
I'm at a loss for words when she says that to me. My wife has asked me not to tell her about the layoff, so I can't tell her the truth. Therefore, my mother-in-law thinks that I am selfish and I am lying about her financial situation. My mother-in-law's phone calls are insistent, not only when I'm at work, but also when I'm home at night.
You know, a husband is supposed to prioritize supporting his wife, and that also means you have to support his wife's mother. You don't show your face around much either, so come bring my daughter here.
Even if she says that, I'm working full-time too, and I'm exhausted, and my wife's part-time job is on the weekends, and that's why she and I don't have the same days off. I'm sorry, we're both very busy. It's hard to make our schedules work together.
I don't care about your schedule. Alyssa has the weekends off. You should be able to come here on either Saturday or Sunday.
I'm not sure if she's quite as frustrated as she seems, but my mother-in-law is in hysterics. I decided it was time for me to tell her the truth about my wife. No, Alyssa is currently working on weekends.
What? What do you mean?
To tell you the truth? I was about to tell her the truth when my wife, who had been laying on the couch watching TV a few minutes earlier, ran up to me and took my phone.
Oh, Mom, I'm sorry I haven't been able to see you lately. I'm working on a big project right now where I have to work on weekends. Once things settle down, I'll come and see you.
She said this and hung up, then handed the phone back to me. Hey, why'd you do that?
Why were you about to tell my mother about my job?
Let's tell her the truth. If we don't, she'll be stuck misunderstanding our situation and keep bugging me.
I'm sorry you're dealing with that, but you can't tell my mom.
Can you throw away your pride already?
Shut up. I was the one who used to make more money, so don't be so arrogant now.
My wife yelled at me and then went into her room. My life is tough and the stress is building up. And then along with the remarks from my mother-in-law, I can't take it anymore when my wife's selfishness is added to it. My wife says her part-time job is too hard and she hardly does any housework anymore, but she doesn't work full-time. She works on weekends and once or twice a week on weekdays. If we can't make it on my salary, I'd appreciate it if she'd work a little more, or maybe she could take care of the housework. Now I'm the one earning more money than her, and I'm the one who has to take care of the housework. I'm fed up with my wife who complains about many things, so I decided to leave the house for a while. I want to live in a hotel for a week and show my wife how hard housework is. I explained the situation to my parents in detail. They said I should get a divorce as soon as possible, but my wife and I were married because of love, and we had been married for 5 years, so I didn't want to go through with the divorce so easily. If we were going to get divorced, I wanted to do everything I could to try to make things better, and if that didn't work, I would get a divorce. When I was at the hotel, I got a phone call from my wife. Where are you? When are you coming home? I'm not coming home for a while, so you'll have to do all the housework in the meantime.
What? Don't be silly. Stop with these jokes and come home and do the housework.
No, I'm not going home. You have to understand how hard my daily chores are. Cleaning the house, doing the laundry, cooking. You have to do everything yourself. I've done it all while I've been working. Do you understand how hard I've had it? I said, and hung up the phone. My wife kept calling me, but I ignored them all. Living in the hotel was comfortable. My parents were getting older, so maybe I might go back to my parents' house eventually. I don't want to worry them forever. Now, I'm just relaxing by myself for a little while, eating at a nice restaurant. I am free from the stress of worrying about my wife and mother-in-law. I also ignore all phone calls from my mother-in-law, so I lived in a hotel for about a week. I really wanted to stay a little longer, but staying at a hotel can be expensive. I thought it was about time, my wife, to start doing the housework too, so I went back home. I was worried that the room would be trash, but I guess she cleaned up better than I thought I would. But I also felt something strange. Could it be? I went to my wife's room, and I found that the clothes in her closet were gone. I wonder if she had gone back to her parents' house, so I called my wife. Why are you calling me after all this time? Hey, where are you right now? I'm at my parents' house. Don't tell me you went back to your parents' house because I left the house.
That's exactly what I did.
What are you doing? Then there's no point in what I did.
It's your fault for leaving in the first place. I'm mad. I'm not returning to that condo.
What do you mean?
I'm going to live with my mom from now on.
You're going to move back into your parents' house?
I'm not moving back. We're moving into a new apartment.
Huh? I didn't understand what she was talking about. As I was at a loss for words, the voice on the phone changed.
Hello? Joe? Do you understand what you've done? You're abandoning your responsibilities as a husband and causing trouble for my daughter. You are a lousy husband. I will educate you."
Excuse me, Emma? I have my reasons for leaving.
"I don't care. We've decided to move into a new, beautiful apartment. If you want to move in together, I'll tell you where we're going to live."
My mother-in-law probably does not know the truth yet. This was perfect for me. No, it's fine.
What?
Because I quickly declined, my mother-in-law became confused. I won't be going over there.
Are you serious? Since Alyssa is going to live with me, you're going to be alone if you don't come here, you know. Alyssa makes most of the money. You can't survive on your own, can you?
You don't need to worry. I make enough money to live on my own. If we're not living together, then we don't need to stay as a couple, right? So I'm going to divorce Alyssa.
What?
When I mentioned the word divorce, I could hear my mother-in-law and wife over the phone sounding startled.
Wait a minute, Joe. You don't need to divorce me.
I can't stay married to you any longer. I want a divorce from my wife who doesn't do any housework. When I said that about my wife, my mother-in-law got upset.
How dare you say that about Alyssa? I don't want a son-in-law like you. Alyssa, divorce this man.
No, I'll prepare the divorce papers, so just regret what you've done. It's too late to apologize now. When I say this, the call ended. My mother-in-law and wife are probably on their way here to hand me the divorce papers. On the other hand, I'm thankful things are going the way they are supposed to. I had given up on my wife completely after she ran away to her mom, rather than thinking about her actions. I don't think she will ever change her mind either. Then, there's no need for us to be together. I decided to pack up my stuff until my mother-in-law and my wife arrived. A few hours later, my mother-in-law came alone. Huh? Where's Alyssa?
There's no need for you to see her. Here, Alyssa already signed them, so quickly sign these papers and get this over with.
My mother-in-law says this and pushes the divorce papers onto me. My wife's signatures look shaky, as if she was trembling while writing them.
She really is a kind-hearted girl. She was reluctant to divorce a lousy husband like you know. I will never forgive you for causing trouble to such a wonderful daughter. You can live a poor life at best. I hope you regret your actions.
While I'm filling out my part, my mother-in-law yells at me. I guess my wife's pride got in the way until the end. She couldn't tell the truth to her mother. It's really pathetic. What happened to your family home?
We sold it, so you can't go and live there.
I would never do that. How much did you sell it for? It was an old house, so it must have been cheap.
It's none of your business, but I'll tell you. We sold it for $50,000. It's not much, but it will add up to my retirement. Alyssa will pay the rent for a new apartment.
Wow, I'm surprised they let you rent it.
What are you talking about? Alyssa makes a lot of money. Of course they would let us rent it.
Did you put the $50K into Alyssa's bank account?
Huh? Yeah, that's right. But that doesn't matter. A man who is about to get a divorce shouldn't be in our business. It's too late for anything to change.
Don't worry, my mind hasn't changed about the divorce, and I'll make sure to submit the divorce papers. I said so, and my mother-in-law glared at me and left. I was so happy to be free from that mother and daughter. I was overjoyed and excited by myself. I packed up the rest of my belongings and moved them to my parents' house. I then looked for an apartment for a single person and signed a contract. By the way, I was able to revoke my mother-in-law to get rid of the property division.
I can't hand over Alyssa's valuable property to you.
I still laugh at the pale face of my wife when we were talking about the division of property. Then one day, about 2 years later, I receive a call from an unknown number. Who could it be in the morning before work? I thought it might be a work-related call. I answered the phone, and to my surprise, it was my ex-mother-in-law.
Oh, Joe, please help me.
Emma, you can't call me. We're just strangers now.
Don't say that. I'm in trouble.
You're probably in trouble because you can't pay the rent for your new apartment, right?
Huh? How do you know that?
So Alyssa never told you about her layoff, did she?
You knew?
Yes, and I tried to tell you many times, but Alyssa prevented me from telling you.
I see. I'm sorry, Joe. I didn't know. I'll apologize, so can you come back?
No way. No matter what I told Alyssa, she would never change. Besides, you also made fun of me, Emma. I don't ever want to spend time with the two of you ever again.
Don't say that. We don't have anything to eat anymore.
According to my ex-mother-in-law, my ex-wife was hiding the truth about how she was laid off. She was paying rent out of the $50,000 she got from the sale of her parents' house. And if she didn't show her extravagance every once in a while, she thought her mother would get suspicious, so she would periodically go on shopping sprees and eat luxurious dinners. Because they were living like this, they spent the $50,000 in no time. They are now penniless. You both deserve it. I think it's time for you to let go of your pride and live modestly in a cheap apartment.
Ugh, it wasn't supposed to be like this. I was supposed to have a very talented daughter to take care of me. I was supposed to live a comfortable life.
My mother-in-law cried like that. I quietly hung up the phone and blocked all incoming calls. Just to be safe, I put out a restraining order and immediately I was ready to call the police. That mother and daughter only thought about using others for their benefit. I'm going to make sure I don't end up like them, and I will try to live independently. With this thought in mind, I got myself back on track and worked hard at my job. Thank you for watching.